Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you once again for yet another episode of the 247 Real Talk podcast. As always, it's my pleasure to be here with you. I hope that since my last episode that you've had a great week and that you've continued to move forward in 2026 to live your best life, to live it to the fullest, irrespective of the challenges that you face. Again, thank you to old subscribers, meaning long-standing subscribers, to the new subscribers, and even to those who decided that they don't share my opinions and they decided to unsubscribe. Hopefully in the future you will return as I continue to evolve in a direction of empowering and upliftment. To that effect, I'm happy to announce that I'm just about ready to start hosting guests again, live guests. Pre-recorded, but guests, on the show. And so I'm working towards having my first return guest very soon. She's someone who's been on the show before, and I think she will come with a very powerful story, topic, and something that will help those of us out there who are struggling in various ways. So look forward to that. I'll be letting you know soon, or you'll see the episode. Hopefully you watch. But this week, as I think about 2026, many of you I spoke with last year about just my trials at work, and a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of things that are impacting my life are based on that. And unfortunately, this week, that manager that I spoke about has been, returned to her targeting ways. But we're going to continue to put our best face forward, and I'm going to be thankful for all of you who continue to support me. The topic for this episode is going to be based on a quote by Andy Andrews that says, "Life itself is a privilege, but to live life to the fullest, well, that is a choice." So when I come back, we're going to talk about privileges versus choices in life. I'll be right back. And so I'm back, and I'll read that quote to you again. And we'll have a short chat. You notice my podcast episodes have not been as long as before. That's because, it's not about length or duration. It's about our discussion and the meaningfulness, and hopefully some provoking thoughts I leave you with. Again, it's a quote from Andy Andrews. It said, "Life itself is a privilege, but to live life to the fullest, well, that's a choice." And I'm going to come at you from in a different manner on that perspective. Because yes, life is a privilege. Let us make no mistake about it. I keep every so often reliving 2025. I keep thinking about my conversations with friends days before they were no longer here. I keep thinking about one of my dearest friends, as you know, I talked about, I did a tribute to my brother Selvin Austin. We were very close, and I keep telling you about the plans we made, the things that we were gonna do, the plans he made, the appearance that he was in a place where he was living his best life. And just like that, he was no longer part of our lives. When you look at the true essence of waking up each day, being given the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of those around you and in your own life, being given the opportunity to pursue your happiness and assist with the happiness of those around you. When you think that, or you think back to those feelings you get when you give and you see someone's face light up, or you hear of a change, or you hear someone benefited because you were kind enough to give. It is an amazing feeling. My whole family is a family of givers, and I embrace giving. I try my best to do it in every way I can. In my job, I try to use my authority as a manager to give back to my staff, to help them with opportunities to grow, to learn, to be promoted, to have a better income so they can support their families. And I do it in an atmosphere and an environment that is very tough to get it done in. I think about, from my, again, going back to people who have difference in beliefs, that's fine. In my gift that I believe was given to me because of who I am or whose I am, giving back through my church, volunteering. I've been giving for years to things like St. Jude's, the hospital for children with cancer. And there's been a few times where I had a debit card or something expire, and they send me an email saying, oh, last month's payment didn't go through. And I'm like hectic to get it to go through and double it up, right? Because I know that the biggest part of that, although we always want to know that when we give, and we give into a cause, for instance, like St. Jude's, where we're hoping that the children get the maximum benefit. And when you break down, say, a $20 bill, I'm just making this up, into how it's broken down into sub pieces and how much ends up going to the children, we all hope that one day it'll be a lot more, but it's better than zero. But what I get from it is a sense of knowing that I have a purpose on this planet. That I have been given the authority, the blessing, the ability to earn. And I have not selfishly kept that to myself, but I've shared it with others so that they too can be beneficiaries of what I have received. For my children, I try to do the best, so much so I get into trouble because, they're a bit spoiled, because sometimes children, especially in today's world, technology and everything, who didn't grow up with that old school mentality that I did, get a sense of entitlement. But while I want to say to them, hey, you have a sense of entitlement, I also recognize that that's a product of my giving, spoiling, recognizing that we have no control over tomorrow. And living today and being able to smile today and being able to be happy today, even moments before there is no tomorrow, is a privilege. And therefore, if we can put layers on top of that privilege to make it better, that's a choice. I think about my situation going back, and I don't want to harp over and over, but my situation at work, where I have a manager who is deliberately, who gets their endorphins go up or something when they watch someone struggle and suffer, when they get to talk down to someone. They feel empowered and great when they get to crush someone beneath their heels, knowing that if that person only blinks against them, they have the power to destroy that person monetarily, therefore destroying many things in their lives, undeservedly so, but because they can. Because for that moment in time, they have that power. They can make a choice instead to say, how can I help? How can we do this together to make it better so that we both end up on top? We both end up satisfied. We both end up meeting our accomplishments. But no, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that seems to be the theme across the country and the world. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I have been a recipient of it for many years at different levels of my job. And after the last time there was a pause, again, I told you, I thought it was over, and here it comes again. But this too shall pass. There are days like today, I had a really rough one today, where I was, the targeting and the relentless pressure made me actually go into my portal online to see how much money would I lose if I retire today. Today, if I retire today. Not today in like sometime now, but actually this date today, because I felt like I was at the end of my rope. And when the day was over, I struggled to separate myself from the doom and gloom and the oppression that the day provided. But I'm sitting here recording this podcast with you because I chose to, at a moment when I felt down and out, not turn around and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to record this podcast tonight or this week. It's too much. Because I realize when I sit here and I talk to you, when we have conversations and I can give of myself, share my thoughts, share my struggles, share with you so you can sit on your end and say, yeah, that's happening to me too. And I'm so glad we spoke about it and I'm not alone. That's my choice. It's a choice to give back. It's a choice to put all this equipment on. It's a choice to sit here. It's a choice to be exhausted and still have time for those of you who take the time to tune in, to share these moments with me and share in this effort to help us rise in a world that's looking to bury us. Every single day in the news, there's something else or some other reason for us to go one step lower. And to prevent ourselves from falling and still manage to stand tall and then make a step upwards, that seems like a Herculean task. Whatever you do to get yourself to that place, as long as it's positive and uplifting, I encourage you to do it. That's why I said, for me, the place I come from when I speak to you is my spirituality, my belief in my God. You might be driven by something different, and that's your choice. At the end of the day, if we help each other, we rise. And living, and it's so important, I want to get to the quote again, because life itself is a privilege, but to live life to the fullest, well, that's a choice. And while some of us may never get to live life to what we call the fullest, where we will leave this place with dreams that have been unfulfilled, a lot of it is about the journey. Those climbers who go and climb Mount Everest, many of them made it. There are many people who have not made it and died along the journey. But they had a passion to reach the top. And for those who reach the top, they may be elated and take pictures and plant a flag at the top, but when they get back down and you speak with them, what they talk about as the accomplishment, as the thing that made them feel so fulfilled, is the journey. The journey towards living life on your terms, still in a humane, kind, loving, supportive way, but find their ways to combat and counteract those who seek to pull you down, to bring you into despair, to oppress you, to make sure you feel lost, helpless, and simply succumb just for survival. That's not who we were designed to be. While survival is something we do inherently as human beings, most of us, we need each other to conquer that level of just surviving. Make a choice today to start that journey to living your life to the fullest, whatever that means to you. I would hope that that journey and that choice is one of humility and one of righteousness, and one that hugs the people around you so that they too can either come along with you or they can be part of your joy at moments along that journey. Today's world, again, is hard. Everywhere we turn, there's something that's unjust and unfair. Everywhere we turn, it seems that people are getting away with things that they never should in the world of humanity. Lots of distractions are there to tell us it will never change. But those who came before us faced similar circumstances, and I would argue maybe in harsher conditions, environmentally, and in what, today we have a world of technology that gives us things that we can do and we can hold on to that are meaningless in a certain way, but they give us glimpses of joy and hope. But those who sacrificed before us paved the way and started a journey that we need to continue. Part of that journey is making sure that positive change continues. But the other part in that journey is making sure you live life to your fullest. People like Martin Luther King, who we know was assassinated, his journey and his dream was, I have a dream. And while he did not live to see that dream fulfilled, he said, I have seen, I've gone to the mountaintop, I have seen. So he knew in his mind that fulfilling his best life was completing his part, his leg in the relay, let's call it the relay of this life. Knowing that while he was not going to see the promised land, he knew that he contributed in a way that others could. Make a choice today to live your life to the fullest. Not just in activism, but in everything else. In the way you treat your children, in the way you treat your siblings, your parents, your whomever you have around you, that's part of your tapestry, your quilt of life. Make a choice today to find positive things you like, and some of those things can be material. Some people take things to the extreme and say, oh, you're materialistic. It's okay if you like to ride bicycles and you feed your family, you pay your rent, you give to others, you support others, you spend time, you give of time, and then you buy 10 bicycles because you like to ride different bicycles. That is fulfilling your choice to the fullest in every way. It's not selfish. Now, for those who just dwell on greed and making more money and watching others suffer around and wouldn't even give a penny to give someone a meal, that's not living life to the fullest. That's living life to the greediest. Think about your life. Think about those moments that really make you happy. Live with the consciousness and understanding that this is a finite journey. And make a decision today, if you haven't made it before, to live your life to the fullest. To choose when everything is against you. To find a way to bring joy to yourself when the whole world around you seems like it's crumbling. Because at the end of the day, that effort will one day reap a reward. I'll say it to you again. Live life to your fullest. Life itself is a privilege, but to live life to the fullest, well, that's a choice. That's a quote from Andy Andrews, and a wish from me, a heartfelt wish for all of you. Make the choice to help each other. Make the choice to give. Make the choice to share, to love, to do all the things that give you joy. Even if something is, you've done everything else and you want this huge house, and you've done everything else as a human being, do not feel guilty if you also go and chase that huge house. Because gifts, both spiritual and material, are the result of living a righteous life. And they're part of your journey towards fulfilling your choice. Until the next time, please, take care of yourselves and each other.